Hey, good day to you. Jason here, Birchfield Family Farm, Oxford, Ohio, raising grass-fed Red Devon cattle, St. Croix sheep and chickens. We do rotational grazing here in a system of paddocks. Just thinking the other day, I think we're up to around 14 paddocks now. There's one that's unofficial, I just kind of use netting for, but we'll do another video at some point on the paddock setup and how many animals we're running and all that kind of stuff here. I got a good word for you today. This is from Psalm 37. If the Lord delights in a man's way, he makes his steps firm. Though he stumble, he will not fall, for the Lord upholds him with his hand. I was young and now I am old, yet I have never seen the righteous forsaken or their children begging bread. They are always generous and lend freely. Their children will be blessed. Turn from evil and do good, then you will dwell in the land forever. For the Lord loves the just and will not forsake his faithful ones. Okay, we have an absolutely sweltering day here on the farm. We topped 90 degrees yesterday. Hard to believe here for May, but you know, that's farming. That's just what we're dealing with. So thankful for the shade trees that we have in our paddocks, and having to be cognizant about that. More on the cattle side than the sheep. Our sheep seem to tolerate heat quite a bit better than cattle. I want to talk today, though. I want to head out. We got a lot to do, a lot of animals to move. I want to get our sheep and our cattle back together today for a true multi-species graze. And then I want to talk about if you're keeping up on grass this time of year, I want to talk about why that's actually more of a problem. Okay, checking in on the meats here. Just got these guys moved, and man, we're having a really good year on the meats. It's been good. Only have lost, I think it's only been 2 actually. Hatchery gave us a couple extra, so 100 birds in here, and 100 is what we have so far. Now anything can happen anytime. That's farming, so always say that tongue-in-cheek here. But just got them fed out. I think we're coming up on halfway through here, and I need to get those heat lamps out of there. Not using those anymore, just added weight. With the hot weather here, the nicest thing I like is our watering system. They've got water all the time, just a float inside this bucket here. We do give a little bit of electrolyte in the water. That's why that water is pea yellow. A little over 27 pounds of feed a day. You know, we go to 9 weeks, and then we process here on the farm right up in the barn there. Have a big community day for processing, and so that's coming up here into June, and I'll get them in the freezer. You always have a few. I don't know if you can see the one right in the middle of the screen there. See how small that one is. A lot of times those real small ones won't make it, but not really what you want to see. But you know, we try and spread the feed around as soon as we move, so everybody's got access. And you know, keeping that feed schedule that we've got, we kind of have it dialed in there to where we can produce a bird that's right between 4 and 5 pounds dressed out. You go much more than that and they get too expensive. People turn their nose up, and then much lighter than that, and you know, we get the response of like, well, you know, I was hoping to get a meal or 2, you know, out of a bird, right? And so that about 4.5 pounds really is ideal for the crock pot. Leave those things in there, make a little bone broth. Good stuff. Okay, and then from the tractor here, looking over at the rams, they've got to move today. This is overgrazed here. This time of year, you know, it's pretty difficult to overgraze, to be honest. But the thinking here, you know, we've got to have the rams moved off of the ewes. I don't want them in with the lambs and the ewes. Obviously, we don't want ewes bred back right now. And so we've been moving rams ahead of this tractor to knock down the grass so we don't have to mow. And that has worked out. They're keeping that grass down, but we need to get those guys moved today. I got a little section underneath the maple tree over there that move them in the shade and give them some real nice grass over there today. Okay, so we need to get cattle and sheep moved here. I want to do something a little different today. I want to do a true multi-species graze. I want to get cattle and sheep in here on this paddock number 4. Just running for 24 hours, but putting everybody together, that's going to put us, not only give us that multi-species graze. You know, cattle and sheep do not share parasites, kind of a dead end cycle there on the parasite side when you combine them. So that's a fit. What one species doesn't eat, the other typically will. It really is a good matchup. But I tell you, the parameters here on a day like today, we were north of 90 degrees yesterday. And it's not all about temperature. Humidity plays a role too. There's cattle heat stress charts out there you can look up. And it's always dependent on both temperature and humidity. And so on a 90+ degree day, cattle, our sheep do better without shade than cattle. But cattle, you'll notice that heads start to bob. You'll notice some slobbering start to happen. They don't lie down, really. They stay standing up when they're heat stressed. And you get that slobber going. Then if you let that go, you'll see them start to pant. And those are all signs of stress and not what we want to see. And so on a day like today, we're going to wait just a little bit until the sun goes behind that big sugar maple there, and that's going to produce some shade on that far corner of this paddock. And so they've got a little bit right now. I know we've talked about this in terms of a silvo pasture setting. That's a big old walnut tree right there. And that gives them some shade on the that'd be the south side of this paddock 3 here. But I tell you, I don't like walnut trees in a silvo pasture situation for ruminants anyway. Maybe for hogs with dropping the nuts and all. But on the shade side, walnuts are the last ones to leaf out in the spring and the first ones to lose their leaves in the fall. And so it's really not an ideal tree for when you need shade like this time of year here. 90 degrees in May I think is a pretty unusual, but that's where we're at. And so it's not supposed to cool off for I think tomorrow we're in the 80s, and then we're supposed to get some rain and cool off a bit. So we're going to come back out here, probably start with moving sheep over here first, get the ewes and the lambs, and then we'll move cattle in. And by that time, I'm thinking we ought to have a little more shade in that corner. Seems like when you've run animals a certain way a few times, they kind of have a memory for it. It's that first time it gets tough. Nope. Gosh, always one. Okay. We got a few more coming. Push them down, F. There we go. All right. Okay, you can see here, just an absolute sea of grass. These lambs are like lost in this stuff. Unbelievable. Swimming in grass. Okay, let's get these guys moved. Come on, Em. Okay, there's Big. Well, he's looking good. Wow. LP, Daisy, everybody's looking good here. Old Hanker still got that ring in. What are we, 5-6 days out here? Bobby, Big Pat. Come on, Petey. Joy and M. Okay, so let's take a look at what we're coming off of here. Quite a bit of trample, quite a bit being left behind. That's exactly what I want to see. There's spots here though. They're eating down pretty good. A little concerned, the manure looks a little runnier, and I don't really like that. It means they're getting a little too much protein. I was hopeful on this longer stuff we kind of see that start to resolve. I think as we go through the season here, we're going to see that those pats firm up here. Hopefully, there's a good one there. But pretty happy with this graze. That's one day. We've been doing daily moves, so this is one day here with nine head of Devon cattle on a 1/4 acre. So this time of year, that's pretty good. Now, you guys have heard me talk about the grass growth curve, the sigmoid curve of grass, okay? And on that S curve, you want to try and be near the top. Andre Voisin really did a lot of research on this in the 1950s, put out his book, Grass Productivity. That's a must read if you're looking to get into grass farming and ruminants and grazing. Just so much good info in there. But one thing he says is typically in this area, in May, April, May, maybe a little bit June-ish, we're going to see twice the growth this time of year as when we hit August and September. And so the point here that I want to make is, if you're keeping up this time of year, if you're grazing and you're keeping up this time of year, that may feel like a good feeling, okay? But you're going to be short on grass. You're going to come up way short. You're going to be overgrazing when you hit August and September. And so, not only do we have that sigmoid curve, grass curve growth to manage, and the way that the grass is growing and maximizing that productivity by trying to clip at the top of the S curve and not go down too far. You will maximize your productivity on the grass regrowth by doing that, but you also have the seasonality of grass and that grass growth. And so typically Voisin is saying, around 18 days in the rotation, now 36 days when you hit August and September. Now there's a lot of factors in there. That's not like an across the board kind of thing. That was for his area, but I find that holds pretty well true here for my area. I get asked all the time, well, how many animals per acre can I run? How many, what can we do here in my area? Well, get a hold of a local farmer or an extension office or something to figure out your set stock grazing rate. How many animals can you run without rotating? And I always tell people, start there. It's pretty conservative, start there. And then, in my opinion, if you're rotating and doing it the right way, you will only improve. But the point I want to make here, and we see this every year, and I see people, comment on the channel, oh, this grass is too long, you got seed heads and everything else. No, because I know when we hit, late July, August, it's going to be about right. And it's just, we're shaggy this time. So, some of my ideas, what can you do? What can you do when you have grass? You've got more grass than you can use this time of year, especially on a small scale here. We're grazing just right on about 5 acres. And so one of the things we've done is we clipped that paddock over there. We mowed it and then just let the grass dry. And we got a mower with a bagger, picked it up and just made a little bit of hay, had a few dry days there, sunny days, and picked it up, and we filled our trough in the barn with really nice short cut hay. And so next time that hay, it'll keep in there in the trough, and so next time we have an animal that needs to go in there, they've already got the feed in there. The other thing, we make small scale silage. So you can also time it up this time of year. Like I could come in here, maybe over on paddock 9, because I know today we got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 5 days until I make it to paddock 9, 6. So I've got a week. Until I get on paddock 11 out there, right? And so I could go out there probably today, and I could clip paddock 11, right? And then I could put that in our blue barrels that we do. Mix just a little bit of molasses to help with that ferment, and we make a really, really nice silage that will add to the hay in the wintertime to up that protein. And the cattle love it, the sheep love it. So anyway, so there's options, right? When you get into too much grass here in May. But the point I want to make is, if you're swimming in grass and it's way too much and you're overwhelmed, don't be, because you're doing the right thing. Because come August and September, you're gonna be sitting pretty. You know, there definitely is a refreshing simplicity to farming this way, to living this way, to running animals on all grass. I'm 8 years in, owning this place, almost 8 years, and I still love it every bit as much, if not more, than when we started. Looking at this from the outside, you know, there's this tendency to, I think a lot of times, kind of oversimplify. And I love what John Kemp has to say in his Regenerative Ag podcast. Talks about simplicity on the other side of complexity. And I think there's so much wisdom to that. You know, he talks about, you know, when you first see something, it's like, yeah, that looks really simple. You know, I can do that, right? And so you give it a shot and you start in, and it's like, oh, man, that's harder than I thought. You know, maybe take something like welding, right? No, that doesn't look that hard. Well, you actually get into it and you discover that, okay, yeah, there's more here than I thought. I really don't have the skills to, you know, to get this done or whatever. But then you continue to pursue, you continue to work at it. And eventually you get to the point where you know, through experience, it becomes simple again. And I thought, man, that is so true. And I think it also applies to farming this way, and to grazing, to rotational grazing, especially, you know, with multi-species and just a lot going on. I think with the mayhem and the complexity of our culture, I think the simplicity of this lifestyle is it's very alluring. And But I think when you get into it, you know, you soon kind of discover that, oh, wow, there's a lot more to this. But I want to encourage today just to press through that when that happens, because eventually you'll get to the point where it becomes simple again, and it's joyful. And, you know, like you look at grass and, you know, you've got this S curve, right, that is managed, when managed properly. It takes some skill, because you're not only managing growth, but you have the seasonality that's in there as well. And so if you want to maximize production, it can really be a challenge. And then of course you add animals and anything that's alive and biological, you've got all of that going on as well. And so it can be overwhelming, but push through that area of learning in the beginning that's complex. And I do recommend just doing it, you know, get in there and go at it. I think, you know, I try and add value here on the channel with showing our experiences and trying to be authentic, and hopefully you find some value here. But there's only so much that I can say. You know, you have to get your hands on it. You have to do it to really learn it. There's a feel to it as well, but it is a really good life. Okay, so the other reason I wanted to add sheep in here with cattle is I want them to have access to this free choice mineral. This thing has been awesome for us. I do believe that it's really improved mostly our cattle herd. You know, we dealt with a number of years with, you know, when you run sheep and cattle together, what do you do for mineral? You know, sheep can't get the same level of copper that cattle need, right? And so we went to this free choice mineral feeder. That has worked out well. It's pretty expensive, but you know, they're remineralizing the ground for you through this. Let's remineralize using our animals through their own dung and urine. You know, and you're going to remineralize, and then the theory is over time you will use less. And I tell you, we've seen that. We've seen that in the beginning here. We had a soil test done, and we were deficient in phosphorus. And for about the first 6 months, our cattle just absolutely hammered that false section here. And, you know, they still consume the phosphorus, but we're not going through it anywhere near what we were in the beginning. And isn't that curious? Now, something like copper, you know, there's enough copper in here to probably kill every single sheep I have. And so we're relying on the nutritional wisdom of the sheep here, you know, to get exactly what they need and how much. And this has worked for us. And the cattle get what they need in order to shed those coats, right, and slick off for the summer. Minerals incredibly important. It really is, especially in a grass-fed program. So let's get this moved over there. I'm kind of curious too to see how the lammies interact with this thing. We did add our own wheels to this mineral feeder. I bought what was supposed to be a stainless steel, I believe that's is that a 3/4 inch? I think it's 3/4 inch rod. And I guess I should have bumped up and maybe went with a 3/16 rather than a 304 stainless. I don't know. But we got the front tires on a 0-turn mower. We just got 4 of those, flat free, and you know, you can grease them. And then just put a shaft collar on there. And then we just added some 2x4s and just drilled through the 2x4s. I did put a metal bushing inside the wood on all 4 corners. I'll tell you this, it's worked. It's worked, and that allows us to actually pull this thing by hand this year rather than have to bring the mower out. So you usually get a kiddo on the back and I pull, and you know, good to go. Okay, we are gonna go with 2 waters over here too. I like these old mineral tubs, using these as waters. We put a float valve in here that's running from our elevated tanks. Everything's automatic. I am going to put another small one out that will manually fill, and we're doing that just because this one here, that's just a little bit tall for those lambs. Okay, and there we go. 10 minutes later here, and the sheep have discovered it. Okay, so back out here later on in the day, looks like this is working out here. Had a beautiful shot there, or what? Mama and triplets. Everybody's getting along, getting that true multi-species graze here, getting that diverse manure put down here, and I'm pretty happy with this, getting some trample in here. I forgot to mention one thing, and that is grass getting away from you this time of year. And I was thinking, you know, the other thing you could do, other than just harvesting hay or silage, which I guess technically I should call it haylage, rather than harvesting that ahead of time, the other thing you could do is just move animals quicker. You could absolutely do that. We could be out here skipping these guys, you know, 2, 3, 4 times a day. Couple reasons I don't do that. The primary one is it's just labor inputs. I'm content with moving 1 time a day. You know, we got other stuff that we do, and to be out here 2, 3, 4 times a day, it'd be quite a bit bigger commitment. The other thing too is we're on county water, and you know, it might not sound like much, but you know, dumping 40, 50 gallons of water every day, 2, 3, 4 times a day. I tell you, you go through a whole season of that, and you're gonna have quite a water expense there. So, you know, that's another reason. The other reason too is, you know, and there's debate on this, but trying not to return to the same paddock for at least 30 days on the sheep. You know, we've adhered to that somewhat. You know, I think there are a lot of other factors in there as well. It's not like you can just do that and that takes care of all, you know, parasite issues. I mean, it depends on I think a lot of it, you know, your rainfall and you know, temperature, and you know, how much forage is there too. I find, you know, if you're consistently overgrazing, you're gonna have the sheep noses down there, you know, right in that dirt and the soil, and that's just never good for you know, parasites. We do not worm, so we need to, you know, employ management practices that help keep the flock and herd healthy here. And I think we do a pretty decent job in that regard. So those are just some thoughts here, but that's another option. You know, you can move multiple times a day to try and top off and keep everything, you know, in that vegetative state, and then, you know, maybe slow it down somewhat, you know, when you hit the drier time of the year, to get a little more rest. I tell you, that's That's the art though, right? Is, it's almost like you need to move quicker and have more rest during the slower grass growing season, fall, late summer and fall. And I don't know, there's just always something to learn out here. Always something to glean. Okay, here we go. Next day here, trying to make a move off of 4. We're gonna head over down into there, kind of a wooded makeshift paddock we did here. We'll get these guys moved and then we'll check out this graze, see what we think here. Oh, yeah, huh? There we go. No. Yeah. There we go. Okay, push him up. Push him up. Come on, no, there's a gate. Gosh dang. Okay, so here's what we're coming off of. Again, 24 hours here. Just massive amounts that we're leaving behind, but that is not a waste. Okay, only thing I'm really not happy about with this graze is just the concentrated pressure here we got under the shade tree. I've talked about this before, but cattle will kill a sugar maple tree if you leave them there too long. And so, one day's not going to hurt anything, but wish we had a way to spread out this shade. I know some guys use shade mobiles. I could really see the advantage of that, concentrating that pressure. Here's really what I wanted to show you though. Oh, the old wean ring. There she is. So we got, about a week out of this thing. So as is usually the case, that wean ring popping out, it's going to bring up more questions than answers here. Are we good to go? Did it work? Has it trained them? Just in that week, in our 2 weeks that we had him apart, and then this week where he had the ring in, is there going to be a memory there? And are we good to go? I don't know. I mean, it lasted longer than I thought it would. I had it torqued down pretty good. I guess maybe if you're going to use those, trend more towards the ones that pierce through the nose there. I just never like making piercing the skin on an animal. You're just inviting trouble. So I don't know. Okay, got everybody moved here. They're liking this. We've got quite a few trees over here. Locust tree here, black walnut there. You can see the walnuts are starting to leaf out now, so we should be good down in here. Went all the way back down by the creek, circled around, and we did run a net just because I don't have electric wire running on this wood fence over there, and so I do want to keep something hot between them and getting out here. But we got a lot of good stuff in here. I'm pretty happy with that multi-species graze. Yeah, sorry guys, I don't know what to tell you on the wean ring. I guess we're just gonna have to keep playing around with those and see if we can get it dialed in here. But we'll also keep an eye on Daisy and Hank. We might be okay now. I don't know. Thanks for hanging with me today. Be blessed and be at peace. These are not easy times that we live in, but I know there is still peace. Still peace in Christ. So rest in that today. Talk to you next time. Take care.